Hello, good afternoon, my dear students. Okay, well, for today we are gonna to see the grammar how questions, right? As you can appreciate in the box, right, we have how often, right? It means the frequency, how long it means or it's related with the time, how well, right? In Spanish, cuán bien, right? How healthy, cuán saludable, how many, how much, you know how to use it, right? How many, cuántos, how much, cuánto, how many for countable nouns, how much for uncountable nouns. It means that you can count, right? Okay, in this case, we are gonna see in order. How often, right, do you go to the gym? In this case, you have to complete in a complete idea, in a complete sentence. I go to the gym 3 or 4 days a week, right? How often do you buy candies, right? I usually buy candies, could be, or I buy candies twice a week. How often do you study English? I study English every day, right? Also, the next, how long? It depends of the time. How long do you spend at the gym, right? I spend at the gym about 1 hour. I spend at the gym about 2 hours. About I spend at the gym about 3 hours or several times could be, right? How well do you follow your diet? Cuán bien, right? Do you follow your diet? I follow my diet not very well, could be. I follow my diet pretty well, right? I follow my diet extremely well, right? These expressions with often, with related with the time, right? With how long, how well, that kind of expressions you are gonna to adding or ubicate at the end of the sentence, right? Next, we have how healthy are your eating habits, right? ¿Cuán saludables son sus hábitos, sus comidas, sus hábitos alimenticios in this case, right? Uh, it is or they are someone healthy. Aquellas son o ellas son poco saludables, right? Could be use that. Let me see. How many meals do you eat a day? Right? I eat 5 small meals. Could be. I eat 2 small meals, or I eat 3 big meals. Could be. Right? It's related with the meals. Right? Now, how much do you sleep? Right? Do you sleep? In this case, how much do you get? Right? How much do you sleep, or how much do you get? Right? In this, I sleep quite a bit. I sleep a lot, right? What else? I sleep a little, could be, right? Now, in this case, you have these expressions in the part 8, as you can appreciate here. Let me see. In this part, right? In this one, in this one, in this one, and this one, of course, this one. You have expressions, right? Now we are gonna to analyze what kind of expressions they are. For example, let's gonna see. Let's gonna go in order, right? Let me see. Okay. Extremely well, pretty well, not very well. It is corresponded that when you want to ask or when you use how well, how well, right? In this case, you are gonna to use this. So there's those expressions extremely well, pretty well, not very well. Next, you're gonna see very healthy, quite healthy, no healthy, right? In this case, you are gonna use the WH question, how healthy, how healthy, right? How healthy, whatever thing. Very healthy, quite healthy, not healthy at all, right? Next, in this case, we have a lot of, quite of, not much, right? In this case, you're gonna write, let me see, how How much, right? How much coffee do you drink? A lot of, right? How much exercise do you do, right? Quite a big. I do quite a big exercise, could be. Or how much vegetables, oh no, how much water do you drink? I drink not much water, could be, right? Next, in this case, with how much, or you can use how much or how many, depend on the subject, right? Dependiendo del sujeto. If the subject is countable now, you are gonna use many, how many. In this case, you use an uncountable noun, nouns that you can count, you are gonna to use how much. Now, let's gonna see the next. In this section, we have a every day, right? We are gonna use how often because it expresses frequency, right? How often? For example, how often do you go to the gym, right? I go to the gym every day. I go to the gym several times a week. I go to the gym. No, in this case, I never go to the gym. Could be the expressions of this kind of expression never is part of the adverbs of frequency. Now, it's not just never that you are gonna use. You are gonna use never. What else? Adverb of frequency. Usually. What else? Always, right? What else? Often, sometimes, no es sometimes, right? Oh, never, that is in the book, and rarely, right? You're gonna say, how often do you drink coffee? I usually drink coffee. I always drink coffee. I sometimes drink coffee. I rarely drink coffee, right? Now let's gonna see the next W question that is related with the time. How long? How long? ¿Cuánto tiempo? Right? How long? Okay, how long do you stay at the gym? I stay at the gym about 2 hours. I stay at the gym about 3 hours, right? How long? What else? How long do you study your English lesson? I study my English lesson 5 hours could be, right? This is referring to the time. Now let's gonna see about yeah, it could be about the how long. It could be with this how long it related with hours and related with the time in that word. Let me see. Okay, you can use with this with the time. I'm gonna put in another color, or you can use it. Let me see. Oh yeah, you can use it with that expressions. Or about 6 times. How often do you go to the festivals, right? I go to the festivals about 6 times, could be. I go to the festival about 3 times. I go to the festival once a week, right? Could be. Another expression that we use with once, right? Dos veces, right? Two eyes. Oh, twice a week, twice a month, twice a year, right? Depends on the idea that you want to express, right? Then, with this kind of expressions, we are gonna to make the practice. Examples. Let's gonna move to the practice. Okay. In this case, I have this document. Let me see. Yeah, complete each question with how often, how long, how well, how healthy, how many, how much, right? And in this case, you are gonna to answer in a complete sentence, not just with expressions, right? For example, I have, how often do you visit your friends? I visit my friends twice a week. How often do you clean your bathroom? I clean my bathroom. What else? Once a week Could be. How often do you play video games? I play video games. What else? Every day could be. And with the how often, ask you or needs that you answer this question with a with also with a adverse of frequency or with once or with twice a week with that expression. Una vez, once, twice, dos veces, or three times a week. I don't know, several times could be, right? How often do you play video games? I usually play video games, or I never play video games. In this part, how often do you go shopping with your family? I rarely go shopping with my family. How do you attend your school events? No, let's gonna see this one. How do you practice your sport? Let me see. How do you practice? How often? Sorry, how often do you practice a sport? I practice a sport. No, I usually practice a sport. Or I practice a sport once a month, once a week, twice, twice a month, twice a year. I don't know, right? Now, in this case, you are gonna to see more sentences, right? More questions in this case. And you are gonna to read. And according to this content, you are gonna to solve that, right? In this case, we are gonna say, how well can you speak English? Cuán bien, right? How well can you speak English? I can speak English very well. I can speak English extremely well, could be. How well can you play the guitar? I can play the guitar very well or not very well, right? In my case, I can play the guitar not very well, right? How well, what else? How long in this one? 20, 25. How long do you use the technology, right? ¿Cuánto tiempo, right? I use the technology 2 hours, could be really referring to the internet, right? Okay, now, in that way, you are gonna to develop the activity that is gonna be at the end of this class. Then, once you finish practicing this, because you are gonna to send me examples, what are you gonna do? En este documento, you are gonna to take, van a tomar 2 examples, 3 examples, right? Two questions, 3 questions, right? And you are gonna to answer, and you are gonna to send me or share by WhatsApp, right? With your names, of course, right? Then, once you finish sharing with me your ideas, you are gonna to move again to the book and you are gonna complete all of this. I don't know, you are gonna, according to the idea, you are gonna choose how often, how long, how well, how healthy, how much, how many. It depends of you. How do you understand these questions, right? And of course, you are gonna to circle the correct answers, right? Let me see. Oh, yep. Yeah, that's all. And you are gonna to make a screen capture about the part A, and you are gonna send me, right, to the WhatsApp group, again with your names. Let me see. Later, you are gonna to make the part for speaking. Good question. Now you are gonna to create your questions how, right? According to the pictures, right? Or if you want, you can create the questions with how according to your own criteria, right? De acuerdo a su propia criterio, right? Or based on your experience could be. And you are gonna to ask in class, right? As in class. For example, you're gonna say, let me see, Elvis, for example, Elvis, tell me, how often do you eat bread? Huh? Elvis is gonna answer, oh, okay, I usually eat bread in the morning, could be. Natalia, tell me your question. Okay, let me see. How often do you buy groceries? Right? Iba a mencionar a un compañero. It's gonna answer a partner that is gonna to answer. I don't know. Johan, tell me, how often do you buy groceries? Johan is gonna answer, I never buy groceries, or I sometimes buy the groceries in the supermarket, right? You are gonna to interact in class. Yeah? Okay. Once you finish doing that, we are gonna move to the page 52. In this case, part D, don't stress out, right? In this part, we are gonna to follow this reading audio, and you are gonna to put these six headlines or titles in the correct paragraph. Again, what are you gonna do? Once you finish putting the correct headline to the paragraph, you are going to make a screen capture and send me to the WhatsApp group, right? And that's all it would be. Oh, of course, you are going to read the article again, and according to the steps that Jill, Rachel, Paul, Valerie, me, Eduardo mentioned in order to avoid, in order to manage the stress, you are gonna to enumerate. I don't know, it's gonna be this one, it's gonna be this three, it's gonna be this five. I don't know, according to the information, right? Now, you are gonna to read, and later, once you finish, you are gonna to send me this through WhatsApp. And of course, this same reading, you are gonna to attach. What's the meaning attach? Unir, juntar a este document, to this document that will be your activity. Yeah. Fill the gaps with whole questions. In this case, you have to complete with a complete sentence, not just the expression. Once you finish at the end here, let me see, let me show you. Okay, let me show you. I'm gonna make a screen capture. Okay, I finished doing that. Okay, I made the screen capture, and I'm gonna paste it at the end. Let me see. No, this is not the document, sorry. Okay, yeah, this is the right document. You are gonna to paste it here, and that's all, right? That means attach the reading answers to this document, filling the gaps with whole questions. Remember, I prefer that you print out the document and filling by hand, using a pencil, using a pen, right? But if you cannot possibilities in order to print out a document, please filling in a digital way, right? Later at the end of the class, in a few minutes or in a few time, you are gonna to fill all of this, and you are gonna to upload to the Google Classroom, and it will be that's all for today, right? Equals. I am going to stay monitoring all the time, right? If you have a questions, let me know through WhatsApp, my dear students. And that's all. Thank you so much, right? Okay, thanks. See ya tomorrow, my dear students. Have a nice weekend.